Multi-millionaire who's raked in a fortune by regularly abusing his family and regurgitating private stories in books and TV shows while simultaneously lecturing the rest of us about not invading privacy.
You think you know Harry and Meghan, but what I'm about to reveal will change everything.
I'm witnessing an entitled, arrogant, bitter, twisted little man
is disrespectful to the child, to the sanctity of what goes on for any humans who are actually in that situation.
What should have been a sweet, low-key birthday trip for their daughter Lilibet turned into a full-blown public relations disaster, and the internet caught every second of it. Cameras flashed, critics pounced.
You are witnessing a broken heart that is allowed to bleed openly. That is what we are witnessing.
That's not what I'm witnessing.
That is what you are witnessing.
I'm witnessing an entitled, arrogant, bitter, twisted little man.
And at the center of this PR implosion, none other than Disneyland. Yes, the most magical place on Earth just exposed the cracks in the Sussex fairy tale. And this time, not even their most loyal defenders could look away.
Who's had his claws dug into by a manipulative LA lady, and the pair of them have gone on a mission, a wrecking ball mission, to enrich themselves by abusing the very institution which bestowed the titles to them, which they used to make money.
What happened in that California sun wasn't just awkward, it was calculated, and the fallout is still unraveling. June 4th, a picture-perfect day in California. Harry and Meghan, dressed casually but camera-ready, were spotted entering Disneyland with Archie and Lilibet in tow. At first glance, it looked wholesome, innocent even, but something about the images didn't sit right. The paparazzi snaps were just a little too crisp, the timing, just a little too convenient, the setting, quite possibly the least private location in the entire country, and once the public caught on to the staging, things got ugly fast.
She needs us to love her, so she will do whatever it takes, and she doesn't know how to make us love her.
You probably think this is where the story ends. You're wrong. Because the real question isn't what they were doing at Disneyland, it's why. And what came next shattered whatever trust was left between the Sussexes and the public. For a couple that claims to desperately want privacy, Harry and Meghan have a strange habit of showing up in the loudest, most lens-filled locations imaginable. No back entrance, no VIP section, just a full family parade through the busiest tourist trap in America.
You've hijacked this name from Queen Elizabeth. The least you can do is respect this woman, respect her institution, respect her name.
And within hours, the internet lit up. Major outlets blasted the images across their front pages. But here's where it got weird. Every image blurred Archie and Lilibet's faces. Actually, scratch that. This is where it gets really messy. Because this isn't the first time they've pulled this move. Use the kids for soft press, then hide their faces like state secrets. It's a pattern, and nobody slammed the hypocrisy harder than Piers.
Until Harry and Meghan are stripped of their royal titles, they will continue to drag it into influencer hell with hashtags and humble brag.
Without even saying their names, he tore into celebrities who post their children for parental clout, only to censor them when criticism rolls in. "We see you," he wrote, and the internet knew exactly who he meant. The backlash was immediate. Users across X, Reddit, and Instagram didn't just criticize, they mocked. "If you want privacy," one post read, "maybe don't stage a family photo shoot at Disneyland." Thousands of likes, thousands more reposts. Suddenly, the feel-good family outing turned into a media firestorm. Because let's face it, Harry and Meghan aren't amateurs. They know how the media works. They know Disneyland is crawling with paparazzi. And they still walked straight into it. Or did they?
If she had any respect for the institution she married into, she'd stop using it like a content farm.
Insiders from Disneyland itself claimed something was off, that the couple's entourage seemed unusually visible, that photographers were positioned in very specific parts of the park, as if tipped off. Coincidence? Not likely. One staff member described the whole thing as weirdly coordinated, and that's when the comparisons started. The soft lighting, the perfectly framed shots, the matching outfits. It looked less like a birthday party and more like a Netflix trailer. Hold on, it gets worse. Because this wasn't just about optics, it was about timing. Royal insiders pointed out that the Disneyland trip happened just days before Trooping the Color, one of the most important events on the royal calendar.
Multi-millionaire who's raked in a fortune by regularly abusing his family and regurgitating private stories in books and TV shows while simultaneously lecturing the rest of us about not invading privacy.
To the palace, it felt like sabotage. A well-timed media stunt designed to pull attention away from King Charles. And who was the bait? Lilibet. Now here's where things get emotional. The name Lilibet wasn't just chosen out of affection. It was Queen Elizabeth II's intimate family nickname. Something sacred, deeply personal. Meghan and Harry claimed they had the Queen's blessing to use it, but palace officials quickly pushed back, saying no such conversation happened. That narrative correction made headlines back then, and now, years later, here they were again, using the Queen's name as a branding tool. At a theme park, the reaction inside the palace? Furious. One courtier described King Charles's mood as quietly outraged. Another said the entire stunt was a disgrace to the Queen's memory. Because while Harry and Meghan continue cashing in on royal associations, the family back in Britain is left to deal with the embarrassment. And this time, they've had enough. And guess who else is done playing along? Prince William. Sources close to the heir say he's spearheading private talks to finally strip Harry and Meghan of their remaining royal titles. The idea that the monarchy should allow its image to be exploited for Disney Day headlines has crossed the line. William sees it as institutional sabotage, and he's not alone. Other senior royals reportedly agree. For them, the Disneyland episode wasn't a harmless birthday trip. It was the final straw. But wait, there's a twist. Meghan and Harry are now rumored to be threatening legal action against Piers Morgan for his not-so-subtle takedown. This wouldn't be their first attempt to muzzle the media. Meghan famously tried to get Morgan removed after his scathing critique of the Oprah interview. That move backfired. Morgan walked, but his platform only grew. And this time, he's hitting back harder than ever. They want to control the narrative, he wrote, but when reality bites, they play the victim. Morgan's commentary isn't just opinion, it's packed with receipts. Screenshots, quotes, timestamps, the contradictions are being laid bare. On one hand, the Sussexes sue over paparazzi photos. On the other, they waltz through Disneyland like it's a red carpet. On one hand, they blur their kids' faces. On the other, they plaster their names across every headline. The double standard is too glaring to ignore. Meanwhile, back in California, Meghan's latest podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder, has quietly flopped. Despite the hype, the branding, and the multi-million-dollar backing, the numbers are bleak. Downloads are down. Social engagement is non-existent. Even her fans are going silent. Insiders say the Disneyland stunt was a desperate attempt to redirect the spotlight, a soft reset that was supposed to win hearts and revive interest in her lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, but it failed. Instead of appearing warm and maternal, Meghan came off as manipulative. Instead of healing their public image, they reignited the controversy. The audience didn't buy it. They saw the same cycle play out again. New scandal, public sympathy plummets, roll out the kids, curate the lighting, blur the faces, rinse, repeat. And this time, even Hollywood is distancing itself. Publicists, producers, former allies, they're whispering behind closed doors that the Sussex brand has become toxic. You can't build credibility on contradiction, one insider said. People are done playing along. Fast forward to the palace. The conversation isn't just about titles anymore, it's about legacy. The name Sussex, once a fresh symbol of modern royalty, is now a branding nightmare. There are quiet talks, serious ones, about whether the children should retain their HRH designations. It's not about punishment, it's about protection. If the monarchy's image is being used for curated photo shoots and social media moments, then it's time to draw a line. You won't hear this anywhere else. Legal avenues are actively being explored, not just to distance the crown from the Sussexes, but to create a firewall between the royal institution and future brand exploitation. And guess who's reportedly behind the push? Prince William. According to sources, William believes Meghan never truly intended to serve as a royal. From the beginning, it was strategy, not sacrifice. The whirlwind romance, the glitzy wedding, the swift complaints, it was all designed to build a story, a brand, a narrative. And the palace? They bought it at first, but those days are over. Even former staffers are beginning to speak. Quiet leaks are becoming louder. Accounts of Meghan being dismissive of royal protocol, treating palace aides like obstacles, constantly pushing to reshape the monarchy in her own image. What looked like culture clash is now being reframed as calculation. And where does that leave Harry? Alone, stripped of the cheeky charm that once made him beloved. Now he's seen as a supporting actor in Meghan's endless content strategy. The Netflix deal, the memoir, the lawsuits, it all circles around a story that never seems to end. But the viewers? They've stopped watching, because at some point, even drama loses its punch when it's this predictable. Here's where it gets even sadder. King Charles, once hopeful for reconciliation, is reportedly heartbroken. The Disneyland stunt wasn't just another PR misfire, it was personal. The use of his mother's nickname, the exploitation of a royal legacy for headlines, the disregard for palace dignity, it hit too close to home. Courtiers say he's no longer interested in outreach. That bridge may be burned, and still, the Sussex machine rolls on. More photo ops, more headlines, more carefully curated chaos. But something's shifted. The magic's fading. The public is catching on. The blurred faces aren't hiding anything anymore. They're revealing everything. The need for control, the craving for relevance, the desperation behind the performance. So here's the question no one in mainstream media is brave enough to ask. If Harry and Meghan truly want privacy, why do they keep living like they're in a reality show? Because from where we're sitting, this isn't about protection. It's about production. Every moment, every photo, every outing, it's a plot point, a setup, a scene in a never-ending saga that the public is finally tired of watching. And maybe that's the most brutal consequence of all. Not the legal threats, not the palace backlash, but the silence, the shrinking spotlight, the realization that no matter how many staged smiles or blurred faces they throw at the world might just be done looking.